Hi, welcome. You're watching Chris on Real Talk. It's been an absolute nightmare trying to get any kind of stream going today. So if you've seen this video pop up several different times saying attempt number 3, it has been an absolute nightmare. I did actually manage to have a really good conversation with a man I'm going to call V, who wasn't a flat earther, but he understood where the flat earthers were trying to come from. And we had a good conversation with that. Unfortunately, I didn't record it, so that was all on me. However, this is officially attempt number 3. The aliens are messing with my Wi-Fi. This is quite funny, but the details for this page right here are on a flat Earth group right now, and we're live. So, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, a bit of a tickly throat. It's not COVID. That's a fact. But we're going to wait and see. So hopefully this time round, we'll get someone to join me who believes the Earth is flat. Like I said, I did have someone join me earlier, but he was a glober. But again, we had a really good conversation. I just wish I'd hit that record button, which I'm not currently doing now because the stream is good. So other than that, how are we all doing today? There's a lot happening today. Today is the 6th of May. We've had May the 4th. We've had Revenge of the 5th. But today is not Star Wars related at all. It is the 6th of May. And if you live in the London area, or anyway, to be honest with you, anywhere in the country, there's different voting opportunities for you to go and vote for who you want to run your local council and such and whatever. So I've cast my vote today. Poor sod who joins you. Do you know what? He was actually a really nice guy from Bulgaria. I've had a lot of time, a lot of patience for him, and he wasn't a flat earther. However, it was an interesting conversation. We spoke for a good half an hour on the topic of flat earth, and we tried to understand their reasoning, understand their logic. So as always, if someone does join me, please keep it respectful in the comments section. We all have our own beliefs, basically, and we're entitled to those opinions about being harassed. Even though I've been guilty of it before, I can't do that anymore because everyone has their own beliefs and they're entitled to that. So keep it clean in the comments section, whether you agree with what someone says or not. So the invitation is still extended. If you believe the Earth is flat, you are more than welcome to come and join me live on this YouTube stream via Zoom. All you have to do if you want to get in contact with me is go to Twitter and DM me, direct message me at Real Talk Vlogger. I'll give you the details for this Zoom. However, if you go to Flat Earth Society on Facebook, all the details for this Zoom meeting are on there. All you've got to do is put in the meeting ID, put in the passcode, and there you have it. You can join me. I will admit you. And we can talk about this for good about 45 minutes to an hour before I have to do a little bit of housework because I've been lazy today. Sam Stephen, good morning. Happy 33 minutes past the hour of 11 in the morning. This is attempt number 3. I'm genuinely curious. I really want to find out why people believe the Earth is flat. I know it's down to what they say is observation. They observe a flat plane, but surely that has to be because the Earth is so big and we are so small, isn't it? It has to be. It can't be any other explanation really than that, is it? It's my autocorrect put Chris, good morning, because I've said it so many times. Do you know what? I'll take that as a compliment. Good morning to you too, Sam. I appreciate you joining me this morning rather. But if you know anyone who thinks the Earth is flat, let them know what's going on with this. Equally, you can share this video with your friends, put it on Facebook. Share this video out there. You know, I am on a quest to try and find someone who believes the Earth is not a globe. I would love to have someone who doesn't believe the Earth is flat to come and talk with me again. I had a man called V, isn't his name, but I'm going to call him V. He joined me earlier on. He's in the Flat Earth group as well. Again, like me, out of curiosity to try and find out what makes people tick. And he was a very insightful man. He didn't insult anyone who believes the Earth is flat. He tried, like myself, to understand their logic behind what they say, and we came up with theories as to why they would believe what they believe. But everyone's entitled to their own belief system, and I want to understand why they believe it. This is what it comes down to. Chris, what are you hoping for in the London elections? I trust your views. I'm going to be honest with you. This is real talk. I can only give you my opinion, but don't let what I say affect how you feel. You need to vote based on how you feel. I've always said that. I can talk to you until I'm blue in the face as to what I believe, but at the end of the day, you should vote for who you believe you want to be the London mayor. But my opinion is this. The current mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has wasted his time in office. He has made Transport for London broke. They have no money. That is a fact. They are in deficit to the tune of £2+ billion, and they've had to have bailouts. Now, that's not great for anyone. In regards to housing, he has ridiculously under-delivered on what he promised for housing. I mean, by a ridiculous margin. In regards to crime is up. Police numbers are down. When it comes to the congestion charge, he made the decision to hike up the congestion charge and make it 7 days a week. No one else told him to do that specifically. He made that choice to do that. He could have raised money a different way, say making oyster fares £2. Like enforcing people pay their fare by having revenue inspectors. But, there we go. It was just, more people use public transport than you think. I'm just saying you could have raised your money that way, Mr. Khan. £2 from going from one side of London to the other. It's relatively cheap, especially if you can get 2 buses within an hour or 3 buses within an hour to go that distance, But who am I to say anything? So he's basically, in regards to, everything, he's let everyone down. And what really gripes me with Sadiq Khan is the fact that he constantly bangs on. I mean, I watched his interview with Sean Bailey on LBC on YouTube. Go and check that out. LBC mayoral election debate, I believe that's what it's called. But you'll find it on there. And he was having a debate with Sean Bailey. And I didn't trust a word that came out of Sadiq Khan's mouth. He constantly bangs on about the fact that, I grew up on a council estate. And I grew up on a council estate. You saying it doesn't make it a bad place. You're just sharing where you live. You don't have to be poor to live on a council estate. That's something that you're brushing everyone that lives on a council estate as being poor. We don't live in slums if we live on a council estate. That's just where we live. Isn't it, Mr. Khan? And then, thanks for Abdullahi, thank you very much about the compliment for the beard. And I hope I did pronounce your name correctly. If I didn't pronounce your name correctly, please accept my most sincere apologies. Thank you very much. But Sadiq Khan, he bangs on about living on a council estate, and that's not a bad thing. He makes it sound like a bad thing. It's not. He also bangs on about, my dad is a bus driver, blah, blah, blah. I don't care that your dad is or was a bus driver, Mr. Khan. I don't care. Your dad could have been the bin man. He could have been the milkman. He could have been a taxi driver. He could have taught people how to drive. He could have worked in Carphone Warehouse. It doesn't matter what your dad done. What matters are your actions, Mr. Khan. Bringing up the fact that your dad was a bus driver is you trying to milk bus drivers for votes by saying you've got something in common with us. And admittedly, it worked the first time round, Mr. Khan, because you said you were going to give bus drivers a higher rate of fare and equal pay. That never happened because you said you understand what it's like to be a bus driver because my dad's a bus driver. You lied, Mr. Khan, didn't you? And you also had the unions in your pocket as well, because the unions were telling us to vote for you Why would the unions do that? Vote for you specifically? Because they were all in your pocket, weren't they, Mr. Khan? And 28,000 bus drivers voted for you, Mr. Khan, because of your promised lies, isn't it? But it wasn't just 28,000. No, it was 28,000 bus drivers and their partners that voted for you. So, come on, what's 28 plus 28? I believe that's what, 56? Is it? 56,000 bus drivers, including their partners, voted for you, not to mention word of mouth, So if one bus driver and one bus driver's partner convince at least two people to vote for you, then that's however many. I actually lost count. My maths isn't great, but you literally robbed us of having a decent mayor by promising things you would never deliver because you're a liar. The last time I went on strike was for fair and equal pay. When was that? 2016? Now you're the mayor and there haven't been any meaningful strikes by Unite. Why is that? Because they've not been allowed to. Is that the case? If it isn't the case, then please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Khan. But basically, you have ballsed up this city. And the only other viable candidate for mayor in this city is Sean Bailey. There's a couple of YouTubers, loads of independents, Green Party, you've got this, that and the other. None of them bring anything to the table whatsoever. So the only viable candidate for voting for London Mayor is the Conservative candidate, which is Sean Bailey. And I've never voted Conservative for anything in my entire life until now. I would have voted, if this was a general election, for Brexit Party. Before Brexit Party, it was UKIP, when Nigel Farage was in charge, because I believed he had a vision. I can't even vote for Nigel Farage's Brexit Party anymore because he isn't the leader of that anymore, and I don't believe what they say anymore. And as for Nigel Farage, I was a fan of Nigel Farage. I believed what he had to say. I thought he could take this country in a good direction. And I do follow him on several social media platforms, and what I don't agree with are the things that he's saying about COVID restrictions and everything else that goes along with it. He's beginning to get on my nerves somewhat because I don't think he takes the pandemic seriously enough. And for that reason, I can't vote for anything that Nigel Farage has anything to do with now, whether he's the leader of it or not. So there's that. So I can't vote for UKIP. I can't vote for Brexit Party anymore because they're run by idiots. Even though I agree with it in principle, I don't trust the people that are running it. So therefore, I can't vote for Labour because I couldn't stand Jeremy Corbyn, who ruined Labour for me. And as for Sir Keir Starmer, pull the other one, will ya? Honestly, that bloke is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Always picks out the faults with the Prime Minister, which is his job as leader of the opposition. But with nothing to back it up. Absolutely no. They're currently moaning about the decor in the number 10 flat. I personally don't care where the money came from. I don't care. I don't think anyone in the entire country cares where the money came from to decorate number 10. No one cares. It's not that important. It doesn't matter where the money came from, as long as he paid it back, which he says he paid for it. So even if someone else did pay for it and he paid it back, technically he still paid for it. We don't care. What we care about is action and what actually happens. And I believe during this pandemic, if Labour had been in charge, if Corbyn had been in charge during this pandemic, we would have thousands upon thousands more deaths. I believe we'd be back in the European Union. I believe we wouldn't have a quarter of the amount of vaccinations that we have now. I believe that we'd be on a fast track to accepting the euro, which is a failing currency. And it is. Let's not mince words about it. So the only way I can sum this up is if you live in the London area and you're sick of the way things have gone for you because Labour have messed up your council, like Croydon Council is completely broke because of it's Labour run, vote Conservative. They're the only viable option. If you want to change your London mayor and you're sick of Sadiq Khan like I am because of his lies and his attitude towards absolutely everyone, trying to make me seem like I am poor and that I live in a slum because I lived or grew up or still live on a council estate, then do you know what? Don't vote for that muppet. Vote for Sean Bailey. And the thing is, another reason why I'm saying this is because most politicians, I would allow a certain amount of failure within a small margin of error. They promise a lot. And admittedly, politicians aren't going to deliver everything, but they try their hardest. Sadiq Khan promised a lot and failed miserably, not just within a small margin of error, but within a margin of error that you could have literally jumped into swinging a cane. Sadiq Khan needs to go. Businesses in London that have struggled and disappeared because of the ultra low emission zone. Think about that. You know, the ULEZ is there as an ultra low emission zone. Vehicles have to pay to come into this part of London. And if these companies have to keep paying that on a daily basis, which isn't cheap, they're losing money. They're not making money. They're going to end up closing down. This is what's happened. Look at Oxford Street. Look at Regent Street. The congestion charge is there. And the congestion is still there. Regent Street, I believe, has currently gone down to one lane either side. Who would have signed off such an idiotic thing when no emergency vehicles can get past? That would have had to have been run by the Mayor of London, surely. Surely he would have had to have signed that off. But no. You know, look, he's ruined it. So the crux of this video today is I am looking for someone who believes the earth is flat. If you believe the earth is flat and you want to come and talk to me in a good way, a friendly chat as to why you believe what you believe, come and join me. You can direct message me on Twitter. I have got my phone here. At Real Talk Vlogger, and I will give you the details for this Zoom call so we can get into conversation. Equally, if you are part of the Flat Earth Society on Facebook, you can go there and you can get the details for this chat from there if you wish to join me. So this is attempt number 3. If you're just joining me now, I did have someone on earlier. However, the stream wasn't great. We did have a really good conversation. It just didn't go out to YouTube, unfortunately, and I didn't hit the record button. He wasn't a flat earther, but he did understand where they were coming from, and he had the same sorts of ideas that I had about that. So let me have a look at what this says here in these comment sections. Do you think he's going to be re-elected? Bloody hope not. Other candidates aren't great, says Soft 16 Stick. Sean Bailey. He isn't perfect. I'm not saying he's perfect, but he's the only viable option other than Sadiq Khan. And Sadiq Khan isn't even a viable option anymore, because what would you do? This is the analogy, okay? If for 5 years you've been using a razor, a specific type of brand of razor, and you change that razor once a week and you had a clean shave once a week, and they promised on that razor packet that it wouldn't cause you skin rash and it would be the closest shave you've ever had and it would leave your skin feeling soft and smooth, and you put up with that same razor for 5 years and it gave you razor burn, it didn't give you a clean shave, and it tugged and it pulled and it was the most ridiculous razor you've ever bought, and you put up with it for 5 years, would you still have that razor after another 5 years? Would you vote to have that razor as your razor of choice? Bearing in mind that razor has caused you nothing but pain and misery for 5 years. If you had a chance to vote for a different razor to be in your bathroom cupboard, would you vote for a different razor? I think you would. So for that reason, vote for Sean Bailey. Why would you keep putting up with the same old crap? Why would you do it? Vote Nico for the vibes. No, don't do it. Morning, Chris. Got prepared for the first live stream today, and I think you got the Guinness World Records for the shortest vid. It was 1 second. It went live, and then I had a notification instantly saying that the stream was disconnected, and it tried, and then it failed, and it tried, and it failed. That's what happened. And then I ended up streaming. It was stable, but it didn't go anywhere. It was a ghost stream. So there was that. Nice neighbourhood, Chris. That's proof the earth is round. Excuse me. Nice background. And the thing is, this background on Zoom, it could be real. It might not be real. I actually don't know if it's a computer-generated image or not. But I like it. Does that work? Yeah. Look at that. Even if it is fake, that's a beautiful picture. There's no denying the Earth is a sphere. You live in the blue eye of a giant, says just another fool. Proving that I live in the blue eye of a giant might be a little bit more doable than believing that we live on a flat Earth, which isn't true. But again, I want someone to join me. If someone believes the Earth is flat, get me at Real Talk Vlogger on Twitter. DM me, I'll give you the details, or go to the Flat Earth Society page on Facebook. I did post the details there. If you want to join me, we can talk about this in a respectable way. We don't have to insult each other or be nasty. The comments section here will keep it clean because my subs are fantastic. Fantastic subscribers. The ULEZ is a good idea for lowering pollution, but in practice it affects people too much at the moment to be implemented. Great insight, Chris. Thank you very much. Gillette always gives that promise, and I kept getting razor burns. Now I downgraded to Supermax. I believe Wilkinson do the best razors, but don't quote me on that. It's just my thing. Just another fool says wave power, extremely cheap outlay, 24/7 energy source, truly green power. This is actually fantastic idea. Tidal energy, I believe it's called, wave power. So if you could have an offshore power generator array that could utilize the movement of the ocean, tidal power, combined with wind, and make those tidal generators that connect the kinetic energy, make them solar on top, then you've got 3 types of energy being pulled in naturally. I think that's a fantastic idea, but that's just me throwing that idea out there. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But that's a good idea, Just Another Fool. Just Another Fool, just asking you, what is your opinion, honestly? Do you believe the Earth is flat? Or are you, like myself, and I would hope the majority of my subscribers, a globe earther? Are you a baller? Let me know in the comment section down below. Equally, if you know someone who does believe the Earth is flat, let them know that I am live. Let them know that they can go to Twitter at Real Talk Vlogger, and they can direct message me and I'll give them the details for this live. Absolutely no problem. But a wind turbine on top for wind. I think I said that. But either way, I think in my lifetime, if I manage to live another 30 years, if I get to the age of 86, I would hope that in 50 years, all of our energy is renewable. I would hope that. I would hope that. That would be a wonderful thing. We'd be able to teach our kids in schools that we used to burn fossil fuels, isn't it? We used to take dead things and burn them, natural resources, and make them combust in order to give us energy. It's crazy. I think we live inside the ball. Ooh. So you think we live in... I mean, I'm taking it as tongue-in-cheek, but there is also another theory that we don't just live on a globe. We don't live on a flat plane, as flat earthers believe. There are some people out there that believe we live in a hollow earth, and that the earth is made up of different layers, like an onion. Isn't that strange? And there's people that believe Paul, the earth is flat 100%, says Paul. Paul, if you are genuinely a flat earther and you're not trying to yank my chain, please direct message me on Twitter at Real Talk Vlogger. I'll give you the Zoom details for this conversation and we can talk about this face to face, or if you don't want to be on camera, that's fine. But we can have a good, clean cut, no insults conversation as to why you believe the earth is flat, and you can try and convince me that the earth is flat. This is what I'm looking for. I want someone to try and convince me. Equally, come into this conversation with an open mind and try and hear me out also. So conversations work both ways. I'll be willing to listen to you if you're willing to listen to me, and we can do this like grown-ups. That'd be fantastic. I'm not on Twitter. Tell you what, just for you, Paul, I will do this just for you. Okay? Get a pen. I'm going to say this out loud so multiple people can join if you catch me. If you catch me, but we have to remember to keep it civil. Let me try and find this. Do you know what? I'll do it this way. The meeting ID, if you have a pen, is 850-3276-8929. And the passcode for this Zoom call, so you can join me. And remember, only with respect am I going to be speaking to anyone. So if there's any kind of backlash in the comments section, I'll deal with that personally. And I'm not going to insult you. Please try not to insult me and my beliefs of the earth being a globe. The password is 996432. If you didn't get that, I will repeat that again. But this is interesting. I want to speak with someone who believes the earth is flat. Try and convince me why you believe what you believe. I want to genuinely find out what makes you tick. What was that eureka moment when you thought the earth is flat? If you've believed the earth is a sphere your whole life and something triggered and went, hang on a minute, wait. We've been living a lie. It's flat. It's got to be flat. You let me know why you think that. I promise I will hear you out. But you have to be honest with me and tell me that you'll hear me out too. We can both have our opinions. And at the worst, we can agree to disagree like gentlemen. I think that's fair. Paul says, I've seen the edge. Did you take a picture? And can you prove that, Paul? This is what I want to see. You see, I want to know how long it takes for someone to sail around the circumference of a flat earth. If you sail around the circumference of the South Pole on a flat earth, I want to know how long it takes. I want to know, because I know how long it takes to circumnavigate the South Pole on a globe. I want to know how long it takes on a flat earth. Silly things like that. You tell me, you convince me, you talk to me about what makes you believe the earth is flat. I will hear you out. But you must be willing to hear me out too. I'm going into this with an open mind. If you, as a flat earther, are willing to have an open mind and take on board what I have to say also. So, Paul, I've given you the details. If you're willing to join me, you're more than welcome to. I can admit you on. If anyone else wishes to join me who believes the earth is flat, you're more than welcome. Edge is near Lewisham, in my opinion. That's actually quite funny. If you're not from the UK, Lewisham is a London borough. It takes ages, says Paul. I don't believe Paul believes the earth is flat. I think Paul is yanking my chain. But if he is a flat earther, then taking ages is not a definitive answer. For me, that's not proof. Giving me a time, how long it takes to sail around the circumference would be proof. Because that would mean you'd have to sail incredibly fast in order to get around that in the same sort of time. Realistically, it just doesn't make sense. But again, if you are a flat earther, you're more than welcome to join me. Anyone is welcome to join me. If you believe the earth is flat, join me. Go on to Twitter at Real Talk Vlogger. Direct message me and I will give you the details for this. Use laser levels to prove there is no curve. I believe that actually has happened several times in one of your flat Earth famous videos called Behind the Curve. It didn't work out too well, did it? No, for the flat earthers, because they actually proved the curvature with their own experiment. In fact, I believe the flat earther on that mockumentary spent $20,000 on a gyroscope to try and prove a flat earth, and he ended up disproving himself and proving the earth is a globe with a 15-degree-per-hour drift. And there's no disproving that. That is fact. The curve, you can't see the curve horizontally. If you look left to right, seeing that much of a drop over that far a distance is actually visibly impossible at the height of the average person. If you're 5 to 6 foot, or feet high, sorry, the furthest you can see is 2.5 to 3 miles away. The higher up you go, the further you can see. You know, I mean, if you stand at 250 feet up on the White Cliffs of Dover in the UK, you actually get a viewing distance of around about 22 miles. That's a fact. You can see France from the top of the White Cliffs of Dover. If you go down to sea level and at an elevation of what you are physically, you're not going to be able to see France at all because it's on the other side of the curve. You can't disprove that. That's fact. I've been there. I've done that. That's fact. You can't blame that on refraction. You can't blame that on anything else, but it is what it is. If Earth was round, Mount Everest wouldn't exist. That's not true. In fact, Mount Everest actually proves the existence of gravity, because Mount Everest is so large. If you hang a plumb line next to Mount Everest, the plumb line actually drifts towards Mount Everest because it actually has its own gravitational pull. That's a fact. Mount Everest does exist. I know people that I wouldn't say they have been up there, but they live in the country. They'll tell you it's there. I worked with them. Chris, are you prepared to pay a flat earther one-way trip on Richard Branson's rocket? No, I am not prepared. However, there is a billionaire who has, I believed, paid for himself and has bought other seats to go up on Starship when that starts taking passengers. And he's given away 3 of those seats to anyone. So my suggestion is he should pick a flat earther. The Earth is Mount Everest. Okay, say Stan. I wouldn't say the Earth is Mount Everest, but Mount Everest is real. Nepal, that's the one. I believe it's in Nepal. I used to work with people from Nepal, and they can tell you it's real. They've not been up it. If gravity is strong enough to pull us to Earth, how do birds fly? Okay, I'm going to explain this to you. Gravity is actually a weak force. You can break gravity by jumping, for example. Birds fly because they have wings. The force they exert downwards generates lift. Okay, that's the easiest way to describe that. I can't fly because I don't have wings to generate lift. If we had no atmosphere, the flying part of a bird's life wouldn't happen because there is no air there in order to generate lift. But the bird generates lift with its wings. Everything is held to the earth by gravity. Gravity can be proven, and here's how. We have an atmosphere. We have an atmosphere because gravity is holding it there. Not only that, but we also have gravity because we can prove the existence of the Earth's core. The Earth's molten iron core is what generates the magnetosphere. The magnetosphere protects us from solar winds, solar everything basically that bombards the Earth and blows the atmosphere away. Mars as a planet has a very, very, very weak, if anything, magnetosphere because its core is so small and more than likely cold at this point. And its atmosphere over millions and billions of years has blown away due to the solar wind. Everything on Earth is drawn to the center of mass, and the center of mass is the center of the Earth, an incredibly dense molten iron core, which is magnetic, which is why you end up in the northern hemisphere. If this is how a compass, will always point to magnetic north because the magnetosphere, the poles actually they do move. So a compass will always point to magnetic north. The fact that there is a magnetic field there is proof of the Earth's core, which proves it's a sphere. I know what you're going to say next is prove to me that the Earth is a globe because water always finds its level and water can't bend. Is that what you're going to ask me? Please ask me that one, please. And I'm going to tell you exactly the reason why the Earth is a sphere and how the water is stuck to the Earth. We fall to Earth because we are denser than air. That's not true. It's got nothing to do with density and buoyancy. It's got everything to do with mass. I think what you're doing there is you're parroting something that you've heard someone say on YouTube or you've read somewhere, and they're literally everyone in the flat Earth community. I've heard this before. Is you're parroting someone else's saying without actually understanding density and buoyancy. Density and buoyancy gives you the ability to see something which can float in a liquid. You see, I'm not floating right now. If it was down to density and buoyancy, then if I have a tennis ball and I put it on water, it's going to float because it has air in it. It's buoyant. You see, if gravity didn't exist and things were denser, if that's the case, then if I let a tennis ball go, why does it not go up? It's got nothing to do with density and buoyancy and everything to do with mass. Mass is attracted to mass. And as we are so small, we are attracted to the greatest mass, which is our planet. We are drawn to the center of it. It doesn't matter where you stand on the Earth, whether you're in Australia or North America or in Europe, it doesn't matter. You are going to be drawn to that center of mass. Why can't you take a direct flight from South America to South Africa? Can't you? Can't you take a direct flight from South America to South Africa? Let me Google that. You can't go on a direct line. Okay, let me Google this. Direct flight from South America to South Africa. Just to throw this out there, it may have something to do with flight planning and agreements between different countries opening their borders to different direct flights. It may have something to do with that. So let's have a look. So what did that say? Direct flight from South America to South Africa. Let's have a look. Air travel to South Africa. I believe there are flights from Johannesburg to Sao Paulo. That does happen. Let's have a look. There are frequent direct and indirect flights by major airlines from destinations throughout Europe, North America, and South East and Australasia to South Africa. Let's have a look. from USA to South Africa. In fact, the United States of America to South Africa is a longer flight. Let's have a look. Okay, here we go. From the USA, the only direct flight to South Africa is with South African Airways and Delta Airlines, SAA from New York JFK and Washington Dulles, if I'm saying that correct. Delta Airlines from Atlanta. Both airlines fly to Johannesburg. So there we go. And if you think I'm... let me get rid of that. And if you think I'm wrong on that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this window capture. There we go. I have read that there. That is what it is. See, look. These are flight paths from South Africa to South America, Europe, USA, Australia. There we go. So if you wish to have a little read of that, if you want to screenshot that, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to shrink that and leave that there just for a moment, if that's going to be a problem. I do hope it's not. What else do we have here from Paul, who I believe is a flat earther? We fell to Earth because we are denser than air. It's not a case of being denser than air. It's a case of having mass. That's what it's a case of. It's got nothing to do with density and buoyancy. Density and buoyancy give you observations of how things float. I am not floating. I am not in a body of water. So, you know, there we go. If you have a ship, if you have a cruise liner or a battleship, you see, that is more denser than water, but it's buoyant, isn't it? It's not going to sink through the water. It still has its own buoyancy because it contains air and surface area, but it's still a lot of mass there. Who's calling me? Message. I'll call you back later. I tell you what, I'm going to call my wife back because she is the one who was calling me. I'm going to get rid of this on the screen now. That's my point proven. There are direct flights to and from South Africa to the to South America. If gravity is strong enough, how do birds fly? I've already accepted that one as a falsity, and I've proven that wrong. Why can you not take a direct flight? I've done that one. You can't go a direct line. Yes, you can. I've just proven that. All those pictures use fisheye lenses. Right. When it comes to fisheye lenses are not a bad thing. Fisheye lenses are there to give you a broader picture. If you go high enough, you will see the curvature of Earth for yourself. That is a fact. In fact, I watched a video on YouTube on Monday of someone that sent a balloon up. It took 4 hours to get to its maximum height, but they used a camera which was not a fisheye lens, and for its altitude you could see the curvature. And the reason why you can't really see the curvature easily is because we are so ridiculously small in regards to how big the Earth is. Like I said, we can only see visibly 3 miles. The circumference of the Earth is just under 25,000 miles. So 3 miles compared, look, 3 miles, 25,000 miles. You're not going to see anything other than what's at the horizon. You see, if you're at an elevation of, like I said, 250 feet. If you're at an elevation of 250 feet, you're only going to see forwards to the horizon 20 odd miles. But seeing that curve from left to right is almost impossible because the Earth is so big. Even if you're on the International Space Station, which is 250 miles up, 250 miles compared to 24,901 miles circumference is very... Look at this background I've got here. the ISS would have to be around about where the tip of my finger is. Can you see that? The tip of my finger is here. That's pretty much where the ISS is compared to anything else. So if this is the Earth here, the ISS is at the tip of my finger. So which means it's only going to see a certain point of the Earth in its field of view. It's not going to see all of this. It's only going to see what it can see here. So the Earth is genuinely massive, and that's why we can't see the curvature. But just because we can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. It's much like air, the air we breathe. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. It's fact we breathe air. It's fact that the Earth is a globe. Now, I want to draw your attention, Paul, if you're still watching, to the idea that flat earthers have of the firmament, the dome, if you will, because I'm going to have this conversation with you. And there's a video of a submarine hitting a wall on the dark web. The fact that it's on the dark web tells you that it's fake. I don't know where you're going with this. But they go 3 times the distance, and a computer on the flight lies. No. It's not a grand conspiracy. It's not a grand conspiracy. I want to explain to you the ridiculousness of this firmament that flat earthers have, and I want to try and listen. I would say this to you face to face, but no one wants to join me on a face to face on a Zoom. So this is what I'm going to say. Imagine that's the flat Earth. Imagine this for one moment, would you? The diameter of the flat Earth has to be, by a flat earther's logic, the same as the circumference of a globe Earth. Because if the North Pole is in the center and the South Pole is at the sides, that gives you the same diameter as the circumference of a globe Earth. So from here to here has to be, by a flat earther's logic, 24,901.75 something miles. Doesn't it? That makes sense. This is flat earther logic. The firmament is supposed to be 74 miles up. Imagine that being the dome. Now imagine, if you will, flat earther, that on a flat plane, which is nearly 25 miles from point A to point B, completely across your flat Earth, and you have a firmament dome at its maximum height of 74 miles. Try and think of how small 74 is compared to nearly 25,000. Let that sink in for one moment. If you was to look at the flat Earth from outside the firmament, you wouldn't see a dome at all. What you would see is a shiny, flat glass disc, because you wouldn't be able to perceive the curvature of said dome because it is so low and close to the Earth compared to how big your flat Earth is. You wouldn't see a curvature. And that doesn't say that the dome would be flat. It means you can't perceive the curve. But given the fact that you're saying the flat Earth has a diameter of nearly 25,000, and given that the fact you're saying that the firmament is only 74 miles up, you're not going to have a dome. You're going to have something that resembles a pizza, completely flat from looking outside of it. Now, hear me out, if you will. The firmament is higher. You can argue with other flat earthers on that. I've been doing a lot of research on this. The firmament, according to a lot of flat earthers, if not all of them, is 74 miles up. I then hear flat earthers telling me that the sun and moon are the exact same size. We'll roll with this. If you're saying they're the same size, flat earthers also claim that the sun and the moon are 30 odd miles in diameter. We'll roll with that. They're also saying that in order for the sun and the moon to look the size they do, they have to be 3,000 miles away, and that's what makes them the size they are. However, if they are within the firmament, how can they be 3,000 miles away? For them to be within the firmament and be as big as they are, allegedly, that means there would be a 40-mile discrepancy gap between the sun and the earth and the moon and the earth, which means if you look directly up, you're not going to see the sun. You're going to see a 30-mile or 15-mile that way, 15-mile that way, great big blazing ball in the sky, which would kill absolutely everything. These are flat earth facts they try to give us as globers. This is the logic they try to give me. I think the firmament is 20,000 miles high. So you think the firmament is 25. You don't know, you think. And this is the problem. No flat earther has an answer. Let me ask you a question, Paul, as a flat earther. What is your definition of a vacuum? What is a vacuum? A flat earther will always tell you you can't contain gas unless it's in a cylinder or a container. They seem to think that because planet Earth with its atmosphere is in space, that the atmosphere is going to be sucked off into oblivion. In fact, you could pay for that by a good hooker. But the definition of a vacuum is empty. It doesn't mean to suck. A vacuum is emptiness. So this picture we have in my background, whether it's computer generated or not is irrelevant. This is space. This is the Earth. The Earth has atmosphere. Just because the planet Earth is in space and space is a vacuum doesn't mean everything's going to get sucked out. It means that Earth is within emptiness. And all of the matter in our instant vicinity is held to the Earth by gravity and protected by our magnetosphere, which is generated by the core of our fantastic planet. So a vacuum is sucking us through space apparently, but we are not moving. That makes no sense. We are moving. Imagine, if you will, and I've said this before, a flat earther will say we don't feel the movement of planet Earth travelling at 1,000 miles per hour. Of course we don't, because we're moving with it. And it's moving incredibly slow. You may think that 1,000 miles per hour is incredibly fast. And yes, indeed it is. From our perspective, at things that are the same size as us. However, to a large planetary body like the Earth, 1,000 miles per hour is not very fast at all. Again, we're going to use this little tool, sticky tape. Imagine this is a playground roundabout. Imagine this for one moment. And there's a child on this end. And this child wants to go around once. Make one revolution in one day. You take 24 hours to turn that wheel around, to go from here all the way round back to here again. 24 hours to make one revolution on something this big is extremely slow. The Earth is huge. Taking 24 hours to make one rotation isn't fast at all, not by a long shot. And the fact that we don't feel it is, again, because we are so small and we are moving with the Earth. It's all relative. If the Earth was to come to a sudden stop, and this is where we're going to talk about inertia, if the Earth was to come to a complete and utter dead stop, then absolutely everything would be flung in the direction the Earth was spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. And anything that hits a wall, you, me, we would become red mist. We wouldn't even feel it. As human beings, we feel the effect of acceleration. We do not feel the effects of speed. If you're in a train or on a train or in your car and you're traveling at about 80, 90 miles per hour and you drop a ball, that ball isn't going to go flying behind you. because that ball is moving at the same speed as the car. It's going to fall straight down. You are moving at the same speed as the car. You are not going to go falling, to the back of the car. If you want to know the effects of inertia, tie a rope to a motorcycle and then drive forward at 100 miles per hour. The bike will stop. You're going to carry on going forward. You feel the acceleration, you don't feel the speed. And this is what's happening on Earth, because we're moving with the Earth traveling at 1,000 miles per hour or whatever the speed may be. We don't feel that because we're small and moving with it. That is what's happening there. If I jump, I should land in a different spot. And technically, you do. You just don't feel it because we are so small. It could be a atom-sized discrepancy, but that is actually true. It does happen because we are so small you don't notice it. Equally, when it comes to the International Space Station and gravity, the reason why that the astronauts up there don't feel the effects of the speed they're traveling at, which is over 17,000 miles per hour, is one, because there is little to no atmosphere 250 miles up, and because they are moving with the International Space Station. If there was atmosphere or any kind of resistance, they're going to feel that. You see, they're going to struggle with wind. It's not going to be a very pleasant thing at all. They're going to feel that. But the thing is with the International Space Station is because it's moving so fast, being held in orbit, an orbit of that speed and that high up actually means that it's falling to Earth, but it's moving so fast that it's missing every single time. So a controlled orbit like the International Space Station, or any orbit with any satellite, has to reach a specific velocity in order to maintain an orbit. But technically speaking, it is falling to Earth, and those orbits can be adjusted because over a long period of time, those orbits, as fast as they are going to end up going closer and closer to Earth until they do reach the atmosphere, which is why there are people on Earth which can control the whatever propulsion system are on these things in order to gain a boost to go slightly higher up and to maintain their orbital speed. A vacuum is sucking through space. Apparently, that's not true. Anyway, Paul, I really do regret that you couldn't join me face to face on this Zoom call today. I did give you the details. The information was there. You could have asked me for those details again. But surely they can see if the Earth is flat, International Space Station. And again, they don't see the Earth as flat. They do see it as a sphere, but they see it. I mean, you've got to think where my finger is now, right? The tip of my finger is pretty much where they are in relationship to how the size of the Earth. So they're only going to see a small section. I can't get this orientation correct. They're only going to see a small part of the Earth because they're only 250 miles up and the Earth is huge. Satellites don't exist. Yes, they do. Satellites do exist. If they didn't exist, you wouldn't be able to have satellite navigation or global positioning system in your car or on your phone, because satellites are the reason why this exists. So the fact that you're talking to me either using your computer or using your phone and which is going to have GPS on there is just proof that satellites do exist. The same as satellite television, satellite phones, even SpaceX with their Starlink internet, which is proving to work because satellites exist. There we go. You shouldn't be giving their deluded opinions any airtime, mate. They're only looking for attention. Josh, I'm going to let you have that one because this is the first comment I've seen on here. But on here, we are giving flat earthers to have an opinion. That's completely fine. I am trying to get a flat earther on this to talk with face to face or debate in a nice, kind and calm, chilled way. I want to find out what the eureka moment was for a flat earther, and so far nothing a flat earther has ever said to me has ever made any sense, has ever made me question that the earth is a globe, and everything that they've ever said I've always had an answer for, a correct answer for, being that. But Next week, Chris, religion, fake or true? All religions are true if you believe it to be true. That's the way I believe it. You can believe it, even with flat Earth. If you want to believe the Earth is flat, you can believe the Earth is flat. There is proof to the contrary. In regards to religion, I don't care what religion you have as long as you live your life a good way. It doesn't really matter. It's a projection, Sam, like the bat symbol, the Batman symbol. Oh no, we're not going with this, are we? Please don't say we're going with it. Okay, okay. Flat Earther, Paul, your name is. If it is a projection, where is the projection coming from? And can you prove it? And can you show me? Because I've taken many, many, many pictures of the moon. I like astronomy. I do this for fun. It is a sphere. The Earth is a sphere. I've seen it. The reason why we don't see the moon rotate is because it rotates once every orbit, which is what we call a tidal locked orbit. It rotates once every time it goes around the Earth, which is why we only see one side of it. So there we go. Secret local NASA hides. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't deal with this. NASA didn't lie. We did go to the moon. In fact, a friend of mine who lives in West Virginia, her dad actually works for NASA and monitors satellites in their orbits and is responsible for keeping them in orbit. In fact, many things can affect satellites' orbits, including the weather. Believe it or not, they can affect a satellite's altitude, and also monitors the Earth's magnetic field because that also plays a part in satellite altitude and speed. So I know someone, not directly, indirectly know someone who works for NASA. So there we go. I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, I am going to go. Paul, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. I do respect your opinions because they are yours, and if you believe them, that's entirely down to you. Doesn't mean I necessarily agree with them. In fact, I don't. But as a human being, I wish you all the will in the world to do the best you can at living your best life, and I do wish you all the best. So everyone, thanks for watching. I am going to try again with attempt number 4 tomorrow to try and get someone on so we can talk about this face to face. Have an absolutely wonderful day. See you later.